You sat down to do one quick thing. Just one. A 5-minute task. 5 hours later, you look up. Your tea has gone stone cold. 3 people have texted you and you never saw the messages. And somehow you have built the most beautiful, color-coded, completely unnecessary spreadsheet the world has ever seen. And here's the strange part. You feel amazing. That thing that just happened to you was not a glitch. It was not you wasting time or getting distracted. That was one of the most powerful states a human brain can enter. And your brain can drop into it like flipping a switch when the conditions are exactly right. It's called hyperfocus, and almost everyone in your life has told you it's a problem. They are wrong. Pointed in the right direction, this might be the single greatest advantage your brain has ever had. So let's talk about it, because you have probably been carrying the wrong story about yourself for a very long time. You've been told you can't focus. ADHD, attention deficit. The name itself makes it sound like there's a hole in your brain where the focus is supposed to live, like everyone else got the full tank and you got the leak. But you know that isn't true. You know it because you have felt the exact opposite. You have felt the moment your attention narrows into a single bright beam and the entire world just falls away. The room disappears. Time disappears. There is only the thing in front of you.
So it is not an attention deficit. It's attention dysregulation. Your brain is not bad at focusing. Your brain is bad at choosing where the focus goes. And then it is spectacularly, almost unfairly, good at the focusing itself. Sit with that for a second, because it changes everything. You don't have too little attention. In the right moment, you have far too much. That is the whole secret hiding inside the label. The thing everyone called your weakness is actually your wiring running at full power. So why does it work this way? Why can you stare at one very important email for 40 minutes and absorb nothing, then learn the entire history of deep-sea creatures in a single sleepless night and remember all of it a year later? The answer is one word: interest. There's a psychiatrist named William Dodson who has spent decades working with ADHD adults, and he describes the ADHD brain as running on an interest-based nervous system. Most brains can run on importance alone. The boss says it matters, so they do it. Done. Your brain wants more than that. Your brain runs on interest, novelty, urgency, and challenge. Without at least one of those, the engine just won't turn over. And underneath all of that is a chemical called dopamine. Think of dopamine as your brain's "this is worth your energy" signal. It's the little green light that says go. In an ADHD brain, that signal runs a bit low for anything boring or routine, which is exactly why the dishes, the form, the email feel almost physically impossible to start.
But when something finally is interesting enough, the dopamine floods in, the light goes green, and your brain does not just focus, it locks on. That lock-on is hyperfocus. You already know exactly what this feels like, even if you never had a name for it until right now. It's the project you avoided for 3 weeks, the one that lived rent-free in your head, growing heavier every single day. Then one night, something clicked, and you finished the whole thing in one electric overnight session that was honestly some of the best work you have ever done. It's the new hobby you didn't just try. You became a world expert over a single weekend. You watched every video, you read the forums, you bought the gear before you'd even finished the first tutorial. By Sunday night, you could have given a lecture on a thing you had never heard of on Friday. It's the conversation about the topic you love, where you light up, you talk faster, you forget to be self-conscious, and a whole hour vanishes, and you genuinely don't notice it leaving. That is not a flaw. That is a brain operating at the very top of its range. That is horsepower most people simply do not have. Now here is the part nobody tells you, the part that flips the whole thing on its head.
Almost every piece of advice you have ever been given is about fixing your focus. Force it, discipline it, sit down and grind through the boring task on pure willpower. And every time you try it that way, you fail. And every time you fail, you believe a little more deeply that something is wrong with you. But here is the twist. The harder you try to force your focus on something boring, the worse your brain performs. You are not lazy. You are fighting your own wiring. You are trying to run software your hardware was never built for, and then blaming the hardware when it stalls. The people who truly thrive with a brain like yours are not the ones who learn to force focus. They learn to steer it. You don't fight hyperfocus. You bait it. You take the boring task and you bolt something interesting onto it. Can't start the report? Add a timer and turn it into a race against the clock, so now it's urgent. Can't face the cleaning? Put on the loud music, set a 10-minute challenge, make it a game you're trying to win. Dreading the admin? Promise yourself the fun thing the moment it's done. You are not tricking yourself. You are feeding your brain the exact fuel it was built to run on. Urgency, novelty, challenge, interest. Give it even one of those, and the same brain that couldn't begin is suddenly fully online and almost impossible to stop. Does that mean hyperfocus is perfect? Of course not. It has a wild side, and you've met it.
It can lock on to the wrong thing entirely. You can hyperfocus on a video game at 2 a.m, while the real deadline sits there glowing. You can disappear into a rabbit hole so deep you forget to eat, forget to drink, forget that other human beings exist and might want to hear from you. But look closely at what that actually proves. It proves the engine works. It proves the power is real, and it is enormous. On those days, nothing was broken about your focus. The only thing missing was the steering wheel. And a steering wheel is a thing you can learn to build. A leak in the tank is not. So think about your own life for a second. Honestly, think about the times you have shocked yourself with what you could do when you were truly locked in. The all-nighter that produced your best work. The skill you picked up faster than everyone around you. The problem the whole room had given up on. The one you simply could not put down until it cracked open in your hands. Those were not accidents. That was not luck. That was your real engine showing up, finally pointed at something it cared about. And those other days, the ones you've quietly filed under lazy and felt ashamed of, that was not your brain failing you. That was your brain idling, sitting at the start line with the engine running, waiting for a reason to launch, waiting for interest, waiting for the green light that never came because the task was beige, and your wiring needs color.
You were never the person who can't focus. You were always the person whose focus is too powerful to waste on the things that bore you. So the next time you sit down to do one quick thing, and you look up 5 hours later to cold tea and a masterpiece you never planned to make, do not call it a problem. Call it proof. Your brain is not broken. Your brain holds a superpower most people will go their whole lives without ever feeling. You're not learning how to focus. You already know how to do that better than almost anyone. You're just learning where to point it.